the dude abides.
You get into conflict now with people from back home because of politics, right? Because you're the guy who came out to Hollywood and has different attitudes now. How do you deal with that? Especially in the era we're in now politically, where there's such division.
Well, I have a lot of empathy, but, it also extends to, like, what we're used to, as, what our environment's about. I'm in the city. I live on top of so many different kinds of people that I'm used to a lot of things and not fearful of things because I'm, it's in my day-to-day life. And I can see how when it's not in your day-to-day life, how you can be fearful of it. But, look, I just saw a documentary called Brainwashing of My Father.
What's that?
I think that's the title. I may be butchering it. It's about, just feeding into any kind of agenda. Like you feeding on it. If you're feeding on an agenda, then you're gonna not see the people in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what life is about,
Yeah. Well, I think this is what's so scary to me about.
Here's to human beings, man.
Here's to human beings.
Right. We all love each other, really.
We have a country that's very geographically divided. People are physically divided from their own families.
Yeah, but it's all bullshit, man. It's all bullshit. I mean, we all want the same thing.
Which is?
They make well, I think we all want love in our lives. Mm-hmm. I think we all want our loved ones in our lives. I think we all want to share our experiences with those people as much as we can, because we do realize the older we get that life is a short, sweet stroke, man.
Yeah.
And it's only them, which is corporations or governments, that want to, like, divide us. You like Cheetos, and that's terrible for you, Cheetos. Like, that it gets to be about it. It gets to be about us versus them, and it's not really about that. But look, that's what I love about the internet. We're finding out that, all that Coke is not the real thing, man, and milk does not do a body good, and the philosophy that they feed you is more for monetary to kill us off.
Rolling.
I'm up right now. I know he's back. So how you gonna?
By the way, we're having what?
So you want me to do this first?
Sure. We're having a salon tonight, which I know sounds ridiculous.
What is that?
I have 20, 25 people, friends coming over. A friend of mine, Bonnie, runs it. And people come over and we talk about the issues of the day.
Really?
Together. And it's a wonderful thing to do. And it sounds kind of silly when someone sets it up, like, everyone come over to so-and-so's house on Sunday evening, and we're going to talk about specific things that are on our minds. And we just sit and talk about, and someone will bring a few articles that you read in advance, or you don't. I never do. And then we just talk about stuff. It's really great. But the notion is that we sit in a circle and we talk.
No, I don't go to that communist bullshit. Yeah, man, it sounds great. This story that's unfolding now is a reflection of not only them, but us. It's a story of us all.
Well, sorry, who is them? Who are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about whoever you disagree with. We have Trump.
Okay.
This story that is unfolding, called Trump, is because of us and them. And it's unfolding. You can be sure it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he reflects us. Like, I'm a liberal, but I was asleep, which means sort of an egotistical thing about that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do and have learned a lot over the past couple of years about getting active, and freedom isn't free, and if you watch out, there's people want to take that away from you. But the thing is not people, it's corporation. I mean, look, big money. It's what I don't understand, but big money is, you always want to think the best of people, and you always want to think the best of your boss. You do, because you're working for him.
Another way to put it is you're giving the hours of your precious and
Your
finite life to someone else.
To someone, and trusting them. And somewhere along the way, we lost our way in thinking that, it's all P.T. Barnum now, and it's the art of the deal. The art of the deal is about, if they don't know it and you can screw them over, you've just taught them a valuable lesson. It's not about you screwing somebody over, getting the most you can get out of them and then throw them away. Government is about community. And at our grassroots level, they're hearing about it in town halls now and stuff. And I want to go to, and I want to hear about those in Los Angeles. Anyway, I stay off the internet, but I do keep informed about activities that are going on. And the salon thing, getting back to that, I would love to come. Because, what I'm fearful of is the next thing is war, and that I am in fear of that, and that's where my brothers and sisters all over the world, including the South, I'm in fear of them starting a war for profit, and we're the expense.
Yep.
And I love people, I don't want to lose them, and I don't want them to go through experiences and then we come back and we bring them back into society and we go, oh, here's a nice tent for you underneath the overpass over there. But we'll kick you out every now and then just to show you that we appreciate you. Here's the thing. I grew up religious, and it drove me away. Rock and roll drove me away, basically. Because it was too much lure of rock and roll. That aside, the teachings, I thought, were sound.
The religious teachings.
Yes, of treat others as you would want to be treated. Don't judge, yet ye be judged. These things that are basic. Don't lie. You feel it when you lie. And who hasn't lied?
Yeah.
Who hasn't sinned?
Yeah.
But can we forgive? But here's the thing. How can I don't know if I could go to church and love life and then say I have an agenda against Meal on Wheels.
Yeah.
That's one missile.
Well, but the thing is,
it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, but I happen to agree with you about, for example, Meals on Wheels. My dad gets Meals on Wheels, and
Mr. Gold.
And
what's your dad's name? Herbert.
Herbert, yeah.
I'm sorry, I have not read any of his books, and I'm ashamed. But you need to give me one of his books.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Which one?
Fathers. Because we were talking about your father, and I thought you
should... gave me that book?
Yeah, I'll give you another copy.
Where did I put it?
I don't know. You got a book collection. It's probably in there.
When?
I don't know. A couple of years ago. Oh. It's okay. I'll give you another one.
Back in the mushroom days.
Anyway,
you got to cut that.
But Meals on Wheels, you would...
Okay, wait.
You would think we can all agree on that, but there are people in this country who think that anything that involves the government taking care of people is connected to the New World Order, where they're trying to control us. And that is a kind of paranoia that's taken over, where something as innocuous and wonderful and frankly cheap as Meals on Wheels, cheap compared to what we spend, for example, in one day in the military versus a year on Meals on Wheels, has become a political wedge where people say, "Oh, that's entitlements," or "That's old people should pick themselves up by their bootstraps," or I don't know.
There's something that.
But there might be people who think your defense of Meals on Wheels means you've bought the Kool-Aid of California liberal, whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, and
I mean, the thing that I find challenging when you talk about religion is that what I see as Christian values, or anyway the values of the Sermon on the Mount, I see that we have a lot of people who see themselves as Christian in this country acting in a way that is very different, in my view, than what Jesus talked about on the Sermon on the Mount. And that's the challenge that I have in seeing the spirituality of these people who I'm sure their heart's in the right place, but if that
here's
sermon
the thing,
is not
their
getting
heart
through.
is in the right place.
Yeah,
and the thing is that this is what's weird about big media, and and I don't mean all media. I just mean people that want to use the news. What is the word? Solicitously. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To entice instead of report, as we used to have in the old days. We used to have Walter Cronkite, and he reported the news like this. And there was sort of like, we got the news, we assimilated it between ourselves in person, by the way. Prehistoric days, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. And we assimilated it
and interpreted between
in our
yourselves,
own. And
yeah.
it was, look, people act a little kinder in person than they do.
Well, have you seen that?
course,
There's
yeah.
a great video that's sort of floating around right now of a bunch of dogs, barking at each other extremely violently at this gate. And there's a bunch on both sides, and it just looks like a war is about to happen. And then someone presses the button on the gate, and the gate slides away, and all the dogs just back up. And this is the internet. This is the way people, scream at each other on the internet, and then as soon as you get face to face, you back off from the fight. But the tragedy is that if people are spending all their time on the internet, then they're spending their time in a feeling of hatred, right?
Oh, wow. I divorced myself from the internet like last summer because I had what I call a naked summer.